Now welcome to another Questions from Naboo.
Or answers.
We'll see, won't we?
Because I promised you yesterday that I was going to continue my thoughts on what in the world is going on this planet. What are they running from? What's the deal here? And I have some thoughts, and I've done some research, so I know some things.
Okay.
Yes. Although I do take this with a grain of salt. This is just me fun, speculating, theorizing, all that good stuff.
Well,
I don't
it's
know
actually,
anything.
You're basing it off things in the show. I mean, it's
Basing
not,
off things
not
in the
just
show,
like out
but
of thin air here where...
Yeah. But Dave Filoni doesn't generally seem to acknowledge other source material, so using
He's
the
not
other
the
source
best
material to
at
make
that.
theories makes it rough because you just never know, is he destroying some sort of canon
previously thought to
product,
be canon book
or
or
is he
comic.
actually acknowledging other canon product? Okay, so we're going to start out with Night Sister architecture.
Sounds lovely. I once took a class on that.
First image I've got up here, we have an interesting parallel. We have, of course, on the top, we have the Ahsoka show. They're standing in front of a wall of the Night Sister temple, and it's got a bunch of hieroglyphs, and then right below it we've got more hieroglyphs as seen from the Jedi Fallen Order franchise. This is from the first game where Cal is studying hieroglyphs belonging to the Zephyr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we had anybody try to play the match game to find if any hieroglyphs on the bottom or the top match?
Oh gosh, you're going to make me try and play the match game before...
Well,
before I post
I'm
it?
not saying you,
A lot
but
of them look very, very similar.
The layout and just how they're kind of spaced and everything looks similar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a little difference it looks like there's like columns of like 4x4 in the upper one and not in the bottom one.
It could just be how the building was built.
Well, sure. I'm trying to be
Absolutely.
Inspector Gadget here.
A lot of them look very, very similar. I mean, I'm not eyeballing all these right now for an exact copy, but come on.
I mean, they definitely look similar.
Very similar.
I'm just asking if
the
you
big
or anyone else
circles,
has tried it,
super lines.
actually found like a matching symbol, because that would be very significant.
Mm-hmm.
This could be, I don't think it is, but it could be very coincidence.
It could be a coincidence.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I don't
feel
think
like
it is. I think someone who's been designing this would go, I played Fallen Order, and that's very similar. So either it's intentional or it's the biggest coincidence.
Even in the Thrawn character poster, his background, you can see the hieroglyphs.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, you've got night troopers are standing up by the top of them. Night troopers are standing
kind
up
of over his shoulder
they're on guard or something, and they're standing in front of the hieroglyphs.
Yeah.
So
I don't think there's anything to that as much as they just put them in there.
But they're in the background,
Yeah.
meaning that there's something to look at. All right, let's move into the next image. In the next image, we have some text that is just on these triangle doors. And what's interesting is the doors are triangle, which is like the world between worlds, Sith Temple. Ahsoka walked through them in Rebels, triangle-shaped doors, maybe dating back to a previous architecture. But there's some script that's written, and this was translated. But it was translated by flipping the image upside down.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because we do actually, this isn't Arabesh, but we do actually have a script translation for these letters. It says, ruler of all, may his reign last for, I assume it means all time or something, but it's cut off by the door. Reyes Kujet, ruler of all, may his reign last for...
All time. I'm going to fill
It's
it
just
in
a
for him.
repeat.
Yeah.
It looks like it is script that's on repeat
from-
because of how it starts.
This is again from Fallen Order.
Yes. Kujet is actually very interesting. And it's also this same text is on the Thrawn poster because, again, he's in front of the door. So you can see the script there as well.
So now that's not random chance that you just made some runes or symbols that look the same? Or hieroglyphs or
No,
whatever
is
you
it
want to call
supposed to
them?
be praise
Now you're actually...
Kujet, ruler of all? Or is it literally raise? Because the Night Sisters have power.
Now that's more interesting because are they going to try and...
Or did they?
Did they and that's what's going wrong? He's out there and now they're running from him? Sounds like a classic horror movie.
Well, time for some stories about the Zephyr.
Yeah,
so we know
stories are
who is Kujet.
Yeah, because I'm sure there are people who haven't played Fallen Order who don't even know what the Zephyr are.
The Zephyr were an ancient species that predates the galaxy as far as we know. They're supposedly the original, almost founders of the people who did the Force.
Like the first people to discover it, yeah. I mean, again, this is not entirely...
From the game, we explored a lot of Zephyr ruins. They were very interesting, intricate to discover. And apparently there was an ancient Zephyr who fell to the dark side. The Zephyr, according to the game, once lived in the outer rim of the Star Wars galaxy 25,000 years before the Star Wars franchise, which could be in Dawn of the Jedi era, which could be a Zepho movie. We don't even know.
Yeah.
Their society fell apart once some of the leaders fell to the dark side, including Kujet. At one point, he led a temple on Dathomir and almost killed off the Zepho species under his harsh rule. After he died, the Zepho left for a new galaxy to reestablish themselves. So did some of them reestablish themselves on Perdia? They moved there. One's maybe still loyal to Kujet. It explains why his name shows up on this temple.
Every time I hear it, I think Cujo, but...
Could the Night Sisters have somehow resurrected him? And is he too much for them to deal with and they're running from it? I mean, he did almost kill off his species that was living on Dathomir.
It's the dark side. The dark side is bad. It always consumes and destroys.
It's just very interesting
It's nature, essentially.
He had established himself on Dathomir, which is the other place where you find Night Sisters.
Yeah.
Practice dark magics of the Force.
Either this is a giant Easter egg leading nowhere, which is going to frustrate the people who... See, this is the problem when you do things like this. You're angering your most loyal and devoted and the fan who just is so engrossed in Star Wars that anytime they see any kind of writing, they're looking to decipher it. At the same time, you could say, well, we're just trying to throw them a bone, but this is not it's... like we talked about Balin, he had the names of Han, Luke, Leia, and Ben.
Some people say that supports the time travel theory.
Yeah, I think it was just stupid fun. They needed some words to put on there, so they use names, and people are going to look into it, and you're supposed to go, oh, they're messing around. Yeah, they're messing around with you. But this is different. Mm-hmm. This is connecting to things that...
canon.
Yes, this is big stuff. This isn't like Han, Luke, and Leia's name on a temple, which would have made no sense either, but... But you know what I'm saying. This is a clue leading to something that actually feels like it's going on in the episode. So if this is a nothing burger, then you have a reason to really get upset.
I mean, this could be what's calling out to Balin.
It seems to be, right? Because we have, like I'm saying, there's something in the episode that is supporting what this is saying.
If you want to even look at another canon source to kind of figure out what Balin might be doing here, go no further than the Aftermath books, the ones that took place after the Battle of Endor, before the sequels.
Yeah, leading up to the Battle of Jakku, basically, yeah.
I'll quote directly from the book. The Emperor was convinced that something waited for him out there, some origin of the Force, some dark presence formed of malevolent substance. He said he could feel the waves radiating out now that the way was clear. The Emperor called it a signal, conveniently one that only he could hear. Even his greatest enforcer, Vader, seemed oblivious to it, and Vader also claimed mastery over the Dark Force, did he not? Rax believed Palpatine had gone mad.
Yes, Rax.
The one that everyone thought was going to be Snoke.
They just baited that so bad, but no, he was not Snoke. Snoke was...
But it proves that the Emperor felt something dark calling out.
I kind of...
And Balon feels something calling out.
Yes, which is interesting. I mean, the Aftermath trilogy has kind of been ignored. Mm-hmm. Because I think the Aftermath trilogy was written off The Force Awakens and maybe off some ideas from that movie that just kind of got discarded going forward.
Yes.
Because you have things like the Acolytes of the Beyond, who seem to be the precursor to the Knights of Ren, and that's now completely different. But anyway, I was thinking what Palpatine was feeling, if you're trying to connect it, was Exegol. But maybe they're implying he felt something bigger and badder elsewhere?
Right. The fact that it almost seems to choose people, that Vader couldn't feel it, but Palpatine could. Shin doesn't feel it, Balon does.
Yeah, and Ahsoka
and Ezra, doesn't feel it, Ezra don't feel it. Like, it chooses individuals, people that it thinks it can maybe manipulate, if it's the dark side, people it thinks that have enough power to do what they need to do. The right kind of
ambition, perhaps, yeah, because Balon seems to have, he's got, big picture ambition. He's not like Shin is I want power, I don't care, I just want to rule and do that kind of fun Sith stuff. But obviously Palpatine... He was a big thinker. He had a lot of big plans. Mm-hmm. And it seems like Balin is kind of in that same boat.
Mm-hmm. So I thought that was all very interesting. It all kind of ties together into what could be there. We have these Zepho markings, even in concept art for Ahsoka. The original temple she visited, that original Night Sister temple, was supposed to have Zepho, carvings in the face of their actual beings.
Yeah. I mean, this would be cool. This would be the first time, I feel like, that they're really putting, kind of cross-germinating, if you will, different ideas into one like this.
Right, to see them pull possibly from books and from the video game would be fantastic, because that's what we wanted.
That's exactly
what
I thought.
You want when they say everything is canon. We want to see some interconnectivity. Yes, it doesn't have to alienate people, because you can explain what this is within the show. But for people who've seen the extra stuff, and this might even make people want to play that extra stuff, to be like, I want to learn more about the Zephyr, I'm going to play this game.
Yeah, which is why I say you can't just tease this and have it go nowhere. This cannot be a nothing burger, because then it's like, okay, well, if it had been connected to the game, that would be awesome. And if you weren't going to connect it to the game, then don't like tease that you are. It's frustrating. It's frustrating for the fans who 10 years ago, when they're like, we're going to discontinue the EU, but going forward, everything's going to be connected. Every book, comic, game, all in the same universe. And we thought, wrongly, that meant like you're going to have like these kind of larger plans across, multiple mediums that would kind of pay off and culminate later. Never came to fruition.
Do you want to hear another way this connects to the sequels? Possibly.
No.
Oh, okay.
But I will for the people out there who might want to hear. No, I'm fine. It is what it is with the sequels. I've kind of tried to come to terms with that.
Remember when Rey was talking to other people about the Force?
Yeah.
That she felt something inside of her. She felt something awaken, and she can't put it back to sleep.
Yeah.
How when she was a scavenger, she didn't really actively use the Force at all. I mean, there was no telltale sign that she was Force sensitive at all, but she felt it awaken. That was the whole thing. The Force Awakens. Yeah. What if something similar to that is happening within Sabine? What if the Force can be awakened in people who have an aptitude for it, but can't like push through a barrier? Like maybe that's part of the master-apprentice relationship. The bond is it kind of helps open up that channel, helps open you back to the Force. I mean, think about it. Luke was sitting there teaching Rey how to open herself up to feel the Force. He was training her.
You gotta let it flow through.
He was, possibly using some sort of strength bond that they can form between a master and apprentice to have her open up more to the Force. What if this is something that is happening within Sabine, that she was kind of closed herself off, and because Ahsoka was closing herself off to the bond with Sabine, Sabine could never really awaken within the Force.
Well, yeah, plus we know that kind of the older you get, and if you don't start your training, eventually it kind of atrophies, I guess is the best way to put it.
And think about it, Leia didn't use the Force until Luke taught her.
Yeah. Well, it's not something that in general, like, you just use. You may use it, like, to hone your instincts or to hone your skill, like pod racing, for example. Yeah,
like young Annie there
could
use the Force subconsciously to strengthen his reflexes and things.
Yeah, it does things like that.
It wasn't until he had a master who was literally teaching him how to open himself up that he could use the Force, which you could call an awakening.
You could, yeah. You need that initial introduction, essentially, to show you how to bring it in and use it.
So these two shows, I mean, this with Sabine could kind of help relate to The Force Awakens and stuff where Rey explained how she felt it become something within her.
Yeah. Well, they keep teasing that she's going to have this breakthrough moment. We had the cup, we had the door she was going to open.
I feel like there's going to be a breakthrough moment now because Ahsoka has opened up to her.
Well, that's true too.
Because Ahsoka, as the master, almost bears the responsibility of helping awaken, or I guess you could say in a way, strengthen the channels of the Force within her.
Sure.
How is she supposed to learn to do something if someone's not willing to teach her?
Yeah, if your teacher is maybe not actively...
self-taught is probably a much harder way to go within the Force.
Yeah, certainly.
I mean, that's why there's always masters and apprentices, even amongst the Sith.
Even the dark side, yeah.
Because somebody else needs to teach you.
You just have different purposes for the teaching. If you're dark side, you're just, hey, I want this student that I can teach to a certain point so I can use them, and then I kill them and get a new one. Or light side, you're like, yeah, someday they're going to exceed me, and it's going to be great.
So
I'm going to pass it on.
When Dave said this was going to connect to the sequels, I can see some bridges.
Perhaps. I still think they're trying to not really make direct links to the sequels. I don't... They understand. Look, they understand people didn't like the sequels. Even if they're not going to ever acknowledge it, they get it. And I think they're going to purposely try to just kind of keep it in the ether, if you will. It's this nebulous thing that happens, but we're not necessarily leading directly to it, quote unquote, even though we have to, because all roads lead to the sequels.
That's all I got.
No, very interesting. And if they don't pay this off, then you're kind of alienating those fans who dig deep, dive, and love it all, and want to see these connections. And you're like, no, we're just teasing you. It has nothing to do. We just put it in there for fun. This isn't what you tease.
This isn't me making a random theory based on limited knowledge. This is me making a theory based on things they've literally put in the show for me to look at.
No, absolutely. All right, well, that is all we got for you this time. Now it's your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell us what you think about any and all of this. Do you like seeing this kind of connections? Do you want more of this? Is this what you were looking for maybe when you heard about the EU being discontinued and we're putting it all together from here on out? Whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.